Dedicated to the homies that was down since day one. Welcome to Drop D.
The following is a disclaimer from Drop D Podcast Productions. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So if you publish some nonsense and we show it to be nonsense, or you lie to your audience and we call you on it, don't get mad, get better.
Yeah. Quick hits. Doug Campbell. Yeah. Triple B. Steppin'. Spin the reel back, deal crack, skulls and files, Canada side eyes, but they still press dial. Oswald in the crosshairs, name in bold, grassy knoll shadows, stories never get old, Cuban exiles, ghosts in the hotel hall, 3 letters in the hallway, listen close to the call, CIA in the smoke, FBI in the stack, we just follow every thread to the map, push back, quick hits, welcome to the rabbit hole, hey. Breakfast plate full of nothing, burger stacked in a bowl, Doug Campbell with the notes, Triple B with the scroll, if Diogeneo's talking, we just dock that toll, quick hits, every angle, every roll, from the motorcade glass to that grassy knoll, turn the volume up loud, let the questions roll, quick hits, carving truth from control, yeah, they don't like what we say, up and out of our seats, but they tune in anyway, lean close to the heat, magic bullet math, never adding up right, every witness we replay like a fist in the night, archivists in hoodies, with the cold case eyes, we don't bow to Diogenio and his bedtime lies, we snack on nothing burgers, laughing at the spin, empty plate, full mind, that's the way we begin, quick hits, welcome to the rabbit hole, breakfast plate full of nothing, burgers stacked in a bowl, Doug Campbell with the nose, Triple B with the scroll, if Diogenio's talking, we just dock that toll, quick hits, every angle there we roll, from the motorcade glass to that grassy knoll, turn the volume up loud, let the questions roll, quick hits, carving truth from control, whoa.
Hey, what is up? Welcome, y'all, to Quick Hits, a JFK assassination research news and notes podcast presented by Wall Street Window. My name is Doug Campbell of the Dallas Action Podcast presented by Wall Street Window, and I am but 50% of your assigned host for this episode number 74. Please join me in welcoming, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, his mouth talk dirty with grammar, his tongue filthy, his arms come with armor, his baby mama a milfy. It's Rob Clark, y'all. What up, dude?
Yes, they both are. What's up, Doug?
Plurality. I didn't realize we had plurality going on here, bro.
2 baby mama.
Man, and both are milfies.
Of course.
I would expect nothing less from my man. What up, bro?
What's happening, brother?
Man, you know, beautiful Saturday morning in Middle Tennessee, man. What can I say?
Yep. We was caught in the devil's asshole yesterday coming out of Canada. Just another reason to, as I said on the show last night, hate Canada.
The devil's asshole? I don't understand. Explain, please.
Oh, well, there was a lot of wildfire debris and haze and smoke and stank coming down out of Canada. Swafting through the valley yesterday when it was 100 degrees, and it was just a nasty, nasty day, my friend.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was any fun, bro. Can't imagine it was any fun. We've just been dealing with bitch-ass thunderstorms. Just over and over, every day.
We need some to quell this stanky haze over here, but I'm just going to stay inside this weekend and not go outside and breathe in that shit, so.
I don't blame you, man. But study assassination research. Dude, just do document study all weekend inside where the air is conditioned. That's my advice to you, bro.
It's a plan, brother.
That's a plan. Well, look, man, we got people in the chat. They're here they're here for the research. So let's give it to them, my friend. According to my trusty pile of notes, you, sir, are up first for this episode number 74.
Oh boy. Okay. So last night on the Lone Gunman, we were talking about John Thomas Mason, Doug.
John Thomas Mason. I'm thinking ammunition, guns. Is this the same guy that allegedly? I'm thinking about it's ringing a bell. Alleged meeting with Ruby in a court motel prior to the assassination. Some gun running going on. This guy, same guy.
That's part of the story. But
Okay.
just
Okay.
quick for some of the folks who may not have watched last night yet or missed it. So John Thomas Mason was one of two gun store owners in Dallas that sold Mannlicher Carcano ammunition in 1963. Him and his buddy, another gun store owner, had an opportunity to buy a case of 1,000 rounds of 6.5 millimeter Carcano ammunition. So they split it, right?
Right.
Now, in the course of investigating where Oswald got the ammunition for his gun, because it didn't come with any when he ordered it from Klein's, allegedly, John Thomas Mason was interviewed and asked about this, and he said, "No, I didn't sell any ammo to that guy. Don't recognize him at all." Right? So, but there's more to the story behind John Thomas Mason.
Did anybody do any? Was there an investigation into anywhere in New Orleans that might have sold this ammunition? Because allegedly he had this stuff. He had ammo in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the gun was delivered to him in Dallas, but he of course, allegedly took it to New Orleans.
Yeah.
He would shoot at General Walker. Right?
Yeah, but he allegedly fired at General Walker in April. That was just 2 weeks before he went to New Orleans. So,
And about 2 weeks after he got the break.
Yeah,
So-
I had a little brain fart there, chronologically speaking. Sorry about that. I'm like, oh yeah, wait, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't actually.
It was delivered to Heidel in Dallas, the rifle.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
He didn't actually move, according to the official story, back to New Orleans until the end of April. Allegedly.
Yeah, 2 weeks after the Walker shooting, because it was right around the same time that Shield took off to Haiti, which I always thought was a little coincidental.
Yes. So, John Thomas Mason, in the course of, he was actually under investigation at the time, going back to the summer of '63, by the AT&T, now known as the ATF. Okay, and this one guy in particular, Frank Ellsworth, who you may have heard the name. He's been accused of being the Secret Service agent on the Knoll, but he was the only ATF, or was use that term to identify him. He was about the only ATF agent in Dallas at the time, and he had an office in the Dallas Police Department. All right, but he was working undercover a lot, so he didn't really want his identity out there in the media. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
So when the guys that we were talking about, you were just mentioning a guy named Donnell Whittier.
Whittier, yes.
Yeah, and Lawrence Miller, they were arrested, I believe it was November 17th or 18th. They were tracked down and they wrecked their Thunderbird, and there was a large cache of arms, military-grade weapons, recovered from the vehicle that was allegedly stolen from a surplus at Terrell, Texas, from a National Guard armory.
This does sound, okay. Carry on.
So this guy, this ATF agent, Frank Ellsworth, was working undercover with John Thomas Mason. Not with him, but he was trying to set him up to investigate him for illegal arms purchases. And what Frank Ellsworth didn't know is that Colonel George Nante, this guy that was working at Fort Hood, that John Thomas Mason was buying surplus weapons from and then reselling them, was working with the FBI. Okay, so you have the ATF investigating John Thomas Mason and trying to set him up, and you have George Nante working with the FBI trying to set up John Thomas Mason.
This sounds like Charlie Foxtrot waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
clusterfuck of epic proportions.
Everybody's ratting on everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the bust went down of Witter and Miller, the DPD took credit for it because Frank Ellsworth didn't want to be in the public, spotlight. But everything was kind of snafu'd. So once everything happened, that kind of shut down and spooked Mason for Ellsworth when these other guys got busted, because there was some other guy in another car that got away. And we think possibly that might have been John Thomas Mason. But John Thomas Mason was arrested on November 20th for selling explosives in his shop. So Ellsworth got pissed off that this whole thing got ruined with the gun running thing. So he decided to start popping Mason for anything he could get his ass on, right? So he arrested him for selling explosives, dynamite, in his gun shop.
That's frowned upon big time, even in 1963. This guy he had a lot. Didn't he have a lot of shady connections with like Minutemen as well? Yes. Mason, yeah.
Yeah, and also linked to General Walker, the Klan.
Yes. And
anti-Castro Cuban exile groups, which becomes important to what I want to talk about here today. So, in the course of looking at all this stuff, Doug, in the past couple months, I started to realize something. The more and more, to me, at least when I'm looking at it, I see, and the D.R.E. has been a big point of contention, of course, thanks to George Ioannidis, Jefferson Morley, and all this other nonsense, right? So, but when you look at the history of the D.R.E., okay, the CIA was funding them to the tune of $25,000 a month.
Right.
In 1963, which is a lot of fucking money.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. I don't have my inflation calculator handy, but it's gonna be up there, right?
It's gonna be up
there. To be fair, in the hours after the assassination of John Kennedy, a shit ton of disinformation about Lee Oswald came from D.R.E. sources, and yes. It does look like that was probably planted and encouraged. To me, I don't take it to mean I think the D.R.E. were necessarily involved in the assassination at all, but
see, I do.
Really?
But we'll get there, I promise.
Okay.
I'm going to lay out the case for you here.
All right.
Okay. So, in the year prior to the assassination, okay, the D.R.E. is being heavily funded, okay, but they're also being restricted.
Were they part of the group, the autonomous groups that were shut down at the end of April, beginning of May? Or was it March? No, April 1st. April 1st of...
they were defunded.
On April 1st, just like all these other guys that were pulling these autonomous ops?
Yeah, but they never really stopped.
No.
Okay. There was plans, and I'll get into them more here in a second. But so in 1962, in November 1962, the heads of the D.R.E., Roca and I believe Salvat, get called to Langley to meet with Richard Helms personally. Now, this is before Ioannidis gets assigned to him. But he calls them to Langley and basically goes off on them because they're doing their own press releases, right? Because the Cuban Missile Crisis had just happened. And you got these guys from the D.R.E. going on national, like ABC News or Good Morning America or whatever, and saying, oh, no, the missiles are still there. They just moved them. Mm-hmm. Right? So the CIA is like, hey, you guys need to shut the fuck up. Okay? The official story is the Russians removed them. There's no more threat. We don't want to panic the American people. So he basically calls them to the carpet, berates them, tells them to shut the fuck up, do what they're told, go back to Miami, assholes, right? Now, at this point, they're still being funded, but they're being restricted. They're told they cannot do anything operationally. Okay, because then now you got the Neutrality Act coming into effect.
Yep.
And they're being told no operations. You can do propaganda all you want, but no operations.
Now,
Okay.
were they placed under those restrictions, no operations launched from U.S. soil? Like, Alpha 66 and other groups had moved offshore, started moving their shit offshore. So they could continue operations.
They had plans to, but at that time they didn't have any feasible means of doing so. But we'll get there too, I promise. So in early 63, they get transferred under the tutelage of Joanides. They're told that they're being defunded, and they're also told no operations. You got to stop what you're doing.
If we catch you, we'll put you in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have this feeling of frustration from these guys, right? From the Bay of Pigs, because the CIA is telling them, look, we kept our promise to you. We trained your guys, we gave you guys what you needed. It's Kennedy who fucked you, right? And then you have Kennedy saying, no, we never promised anything. CIA's lying to you, right? But what nobody knew at the time is that the CIA, hence our government, is funding these anti-Castro Cuban exile groups to do what they were doing. So it's a very interesting dichotomy. Now, then you have what happened in New Orleans in 1963 with Bernier, right? And you can see kind of the growing frustration. But let me fast forward just a little bit into October of 1963, Doug. And now we are in Dallas, okay? And the first point of contention we run into is the Sylvia Odio incident, okay? Where allegedly you have her being visited by what she said was two members of D.R.E. and a guy that looked a hell of a lot like Lee Harvey Oswald that they were calling Leon Oswald, that he's crazy enough to shoot Kennedy, blah, 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 right? I can't hardly hear you. Your volume is way down. Well, it should be a matter of a volume knob somewhere.
Well, Rob, the problem is I haven't touched any.
Well, I know, but you might need to work on finding a volume knob somewhere.
All right, carry on.
All right. So we have the Sylvia Odio incident happening allegedly at the end of September, going into October, right before Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly goes to Mexico. Also happening in October is a anti-Castro Cuban exile rally. Now, this stems from one of Sylvia Odio's good friends, a woman by the name of Lucy Cannell. And there's a big rally there. Sarita Odio speaks there. I believe General Walker speaks there. Maybe John Martino. I don't know. Anyway, Lee Oswald is alleged to have been seen there as well. Now, also in the middle of October 1963, there is a meeting of the D.R.E. in Dallas. And one of the heads of the main D.R.E. out of Miami actually comes to Dallas. And he is the head of the military or operations division of the D.R.E. total, a guy named Juan Manuel Salvat.
I am familiar with him.
Yes. So he comes to Dallas, and what he's there to do is to assign a new head delegate to the D.R.E. in Dallas. Okay? It used to be this woman named, ironically enough, Sarita.
Not Marita.
No, Sarita. Now, Sylvia Odio has a sister named Sarita who was a member of the D.R.E. Okay? Which is ironic. Now, the last name is different, but you know how these Latino names can be. You know, they could be 9 long, they can be Rodriguez, Fernandez, Roja, whatever.
Yeah, you never know which one they're going to use either. How's my volume
Right.
now?
You're still low.
Man, everything is up full blast. I don't know what to do. I have no idea.
Have you messed with settings in here in EvMux?
Nope. I have literally touched nothing since we
No, I know.
started.
But go into settings here at the bottom. You see the little settings wheel?
Hang on, I got to get you back.
Sorry, folks. Bear with us just 1 second.
Hang on. I have completely lost the window into the studio. Totally.
Well, I can still see you. You're here. But
Where'd you go? There you are. Yeah, this live shit's for the birds, bro.
oh, it ain't nothing.
There you are. Settings, audio.
Yep, go to audio.
Yeah, input volume is universal audio. Looks good to me.
All right, there's a slider on the input volume.
Yeah. No, there is not.
There should be.
Yeah.
It's a little white dot. You can move it back and forth.
Cannot. Not here, bro. It's
Huh.
not there. Mm-mm. Probably because audio input's being controlled by the Universal Audio Thunderbolt. That's what it
don't know.
says. All I've got is test audio, hear yourself, record, listen. That's it. Nothing else.
All right, you want to text homie and I'll just keep on going for a minute?
Oh, man.
Let's see if
Nah,
he's got
it's
any
gonna be,
suggestions.
Well, no, because you're actually getting audio. It's just suddenly very low. It just says test audio. I don't have any kind of slider. Advanced settings. Nothing there as far as audio goes. Yeah, there is no slider. Mute. I found a mute, but that's it.
Huh.
Yeah, and I can hear you great, bro. I can hear you fantastic. But nope, I have no idea.
Weird.
Yeah, and I'd have to, if I got a hold of the engineer, I'd have to log out and try.
Well, you're just going to have to talk a little louder then, sir.
Oh, man. You know,
I mean-
you know how I don't like to upload substandard shit, bro.
Oh, I know.
You know, if that would be unwatchable for me. If it's unwatchable for me, it's unwatchable for everybody else.
I mean, we can hear you. It's just low. It's just lower than it should be. That's all. Just speak up a little bit, and it should be fine.
Speak up a little bit. All right.
Or a lot. However you want to do it.
Man. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You can start. Hey.
There you are. You're back.
Wow. All right, now I got to start cutting shit down.
All right, you're back.
You ain't gonna believe what it was. Hang on. This is so fucking embarrassing. Let me fix my...
Hallelujah. We're back.
Oh, man, hang on. Yeah, but I got to move one screen. Where's the... There it is. I got to move this one back up. What we're going to do... Now I'm way too loud. Now I got to go back there to the back of the room.
No, you're good now.
No, it's way too loud, bro.
Well, not for me, it's not. Not for the audience. Maybe in your headphones you're a little loud, but...
Yeah, but I've got everything pegged. I'm like getting distortion. Hang on, let me turn that down. Like, dude, Black Sabbath would go, turn that fucking shit down. Hang on. You're not going to believe what it was. You're not going to believe what it was, I swear.
Yeah, James, we need Ed Hoffman in the lower corner.
Well, now I'm starting to regret letting Momo go because we started on YouTube and didn't need him. I'll say that. For real. Oh, wow, that's so much better. How's that for you?
Good. Yeah, you're good, bro.
Yeah, that is so much better. Holy crap. All right. Now, I'm not done yet because I got to move this other whole screen down out of the way so I can find the one Rob's on and move it back up where I can see. And, oh my God, can we please get on with the show now? Holy shit, I'm so sorry. Let me show you what this was. All right. It's one of these right here, guys. See that?
Yeah.
This microphone runs to one of these. Did it just cut out again?
Yeah.
Did I just cut out again? All right, hang on.
You're back. Yeah, you're back.
All right. Carry on, Rob.
You're good now. You're back. All right, so back to the D.R.E. meeting in Dallas with the head of the operations guy, Salvat, who decides to come into town. And they do a fundraiser in Dallas. They raise $5,000, which is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's about 50 some grand in today's money. But allegedly not good enough, right? But it's still a lot of money. Now, one of the things that Frank Ellsworth was investigating about John Thomas Mason is at some point, okay, the newly appointed head of the D.R.E., for some reason, decides to make a little visit to John Thomas Mason and give him a big, long shopping laundry list of weapons needed that he would like to have. And we're talking about giant machine guns that could be bolted onto boats or jeeps or whatever. We're talking rocket launchers, grenades, submachine guns, fully automatic machine guns, the whole nine. And it totals like $30,000. Okay. So Mason approaches Nante with this laundry list of stuff. His plug over at Fort Hood. And Nante's like, yeah, no problem. I can get them. Well, there is a slight problem, though. They're currently south of the border in a South American country, but I can get them for you and bring them back up here, and I can deliver them anywhere you want me to in Texas for $30,000. Okay? Now, the guns aren't really below the border. They're not really in some other South American country. They're not coming from a revolution, right? But this is what Nante is telling Mason. He's actually getting the ordinances from surplus military on his base, okay? On his base, he is the ordnance maintenance manager.
Which base is this?
This is Fort Hood.
Fort Hood. Okay. Is that the one? That's crazy, man. I was working on a future quick hit segment last week, and there was a National Guard armory robbery in Texas mentioned. And I don't think it's the same place, though. I think it might be a different one.
The one that Witter and Miller got busted for was a National Guard armory in Terrell, Texas.
I think that might be the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was an AARB segment. Well, that's like in a couple months, but I'm working on it down the road. Yeah, so Terrell, Texas. Yeah.
One of these things that these ordnance maintenance managers would do, if not just outright sell these motherfuckers weapons, they would say, for a fee, Doug, you didn't hear this from me, but here's a layout of the base, and here's this building right here where we keep all of our surplus shit. And, oh, by the way, if you come in about 3 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody around, there's no alarms on anything. All you have to do is get in this door here, you're home free kind of thing. But you didn't hear that from me. But for that info, I'll take $10,000. Okay? Or they would just sell them the shit outright and just ship it off the base in a truck. I mean, they were even selling tanks, dude. Stealing and selling tanks.
I can believe it. But selling them the info seems like a lot safer sort of deal than actually the weapons trading hands with you. But pretty smart, I guess.
They're not making as much money doing that because they don't have to get their hands dirty. But
hey, nice gig if you can get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So once all this shit went down and the FBI and the ATF realized that they had these two compromising plans, going at each other, like Mason thought he was on, Ellsworth thought he was onto something with Mason and Nante, and the FBI thought that they were onto something with Mason and the anti-Castro Cuban exile groups, right? They were trying to figure out who he was selling these weapons to and what they were planned on doing with them.
Right. Yeah.
Well, according to groups like Alpha 66, the D.R.E., they were planning a second Bay of Pigs type invasion into Cuba at the end of November. All this went down and it fucked everything up. Okay. So now they don't have the weapons that they need. These anti-Castro Cuban exile groups are in disarray. They're spooked. They're scared. And they're being told to stand down again by the CIA. They said, look, there's too much shit fucked up here. We're not going to be moving forward with this plan anymore. So they put the kibosh on the second invasion of Cuba at the end of November. At the beginning of November.
Right.
Middle of November. They were like, all right, we're not doing this stand down type of thing.
But yet at the same time, their left hand over here, they're recruiting, planning the AmWorld operation, which is just another invasion of Cuba by exiles. This time it's just based in Guatemala and Nicaragua. And they started recruiting heavy for AmWorld in like August, September. Started gearing up, getting the gear for it and everything. But it didn't last very long into 1964, I don't believe.
Yeah. So they put the kibosh on all this stuff. You've got some very pissed off anti-Castro Cuban exiles. All right. Now, there's a theory out there, Doug, that the people that visited Silvio Odio's apartment weren't actually who she said that they identified themselves as, which is members of D.R.E.
Right. But when you mentioned that just before I had the microphone shenanigans. And what I was pointing out at an extremely low volume due to 100% fault of my own, Rob, was that the crazy part, they identified themselves as members of D.R.E., correct? But
yes.
The letter that they had that they wanted her to translate was a letter written by Frank Barthez of the Cuban Revolutionary Council. He actually wrote the letter that Angelo, Leopoldo, and Leon had with them that they wanted. Now, if you know anything about, if you study this stuff in depth to any degree, you know that the CRC and D.R.E. did not like each other at all.
No.
Not at all. That's a contradiction I've never... what are those guys doing with a letter from... Because Odio's uncle, Guitart, was real tight with Barthez. They were both members of the CRC. Odio correct me if I'm wrong, but was not associated with D.R.E. Sylvia Odio, I mean.
No, her parents.
Yeah, her parents were?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And you have Sarita, her sister, who is affiliated with the D.R.E.
Right. And, according to our friend Gail Nix Jackson, she believes that they were actually there to see Sarita.
Right.
But Sylvia opened the door.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have all this fuckery going down, right? And when Father McCann is interviewed, they wanted him to call her on the phone, trick her into saying who was really at her apartment, and let them listen in to the phone conversation. And he told him, he said, look, he said, even if it wasn't who she said it was, he doubts that she would even tell him who it really was. That's how loyal she was to the cause.
Really?
Yeah. So
she ain't no snitch, Rob.
No.
No.
She ain't no snitch. But when trying to figure out who was actually at Odio's residence here, I'm going to share my screen real quick.
I will put on my spectacles, sir. Now I'm ready for you.
We're going to go
for you.
Documents here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can blow this up even more.
All right. Hey, I want to apologize to all the listeners in the chat if I kind of lost my cool there for a minute. I didn't mean that when I said that this live shit's for the birds. I apologize. I was just under a lot of stress. Sorry.
Yes, no, it's not that serious. It's all good. They understand when your live shit happens.
Man.
It's all good.
And it's just that damn cord. The crazy part is that's like one link in what I'm learning is an extremely complicated chain. I cannot believe that I just let me wiggle this fucking thing, see what happens.
All right. We have here an FBI interview with Jorge Rodriguez Alvarado.
All right. Jorge Rodriguez. September 8th of 64.
Yes.
All right. Chronology is important. We say that all the time here, Mr. Rob.
Yeah.
So, all right. And you said this with the context before you shared your screen was figuring out who was at Sylvia Odio's place, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Caught up.
All right. So, and just for context, this is also the Warren Commission is wrapping up their report. They're about ready to have it ready to hand over to Lyndon Johnson within a week of this report. Okay. So all of this shit is not going to be in the Warren report. This is too late in the game, as they say. So again, Jorge Rodriguez Alvarado is interviewed. He explained that he was the first president of the organization known as Junta, or I'm sorry, not Junta, D.R.E. He said he had relinquished his post as president when he moved from Dallas to Arkansas, where he also worked with Curtis Mathis Company. Scroll down. Now, because it's been said in some places that Sylvia Odio has said that one of her visitors was Rogelio Cisneros. Okay? But...
So, it's alleged that she has identified one of the visitors as Cisneros somewhere. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Where?
It's in the documents.
Okay.
A little later. But it says she allegedly identified Cisneros as being either Angelo or Leopoldo. But Cisneros was not in Dallas in September. He was there in June, and he did go visit Sylvia Odio in June, but not in September, as you can see here. At least this is what Rodriguez says. Okay. Cisneros was accompanied by Rodriguez. Okay, so you have two anti-Castro Cuban exiles.
All right, there's and they visited Odio, so there's two boxes checked, right?
They had gone to the home of Sylvia Odio to enlist her cooperation in the organization of the Dallas unit of D.R.E. Rodriguez explained Odio had assisted in the organization of D.R.E, but had never been official in the Dallas unit. She wanted to be the secretary for propaganda. Rodriguez, however, would not allow this because he thought Odio was too emotional and would therefore not make a good officer of the organization. Excuse me. Concerning Odio, Rodriguez says she is very emotional and tends to be unstable. He says she talks incoherently at times and that frequently her conversation has no form or substance. Rodriguez stated that Odio had never related to him that she had been visited by 3 people, one of which was Lee Harvey Oswald. Rodriguez says that in his opinion, Odio wants to know more about any particular thing than anyone else and frequently will say things that are not true. Rodriguez said for this reason, if Odio were to tell him that she'd been visited by Lee Harvey Oswald and other people, he would have a tendency not to believe her. Okay? And pay attention to who this special agent is in investigating all this. Wallace Heitman.
Wallace R. Heitman. Okay. What's the significance of Special Agent Heitman?
Well, you will see him all over the place in this anti-Castro Cuban exile community in Dallas.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Who you would think it would be, but it's not Hosty. It's Heitman. Okay? So, he disavows any knowledge of all of this stuff. Now, here's a name I want you to remember. Okay, Doug?
Antonio Alentado Leon.
Right. Now, you remember that Sylvia Odio says that one of the men who visited her apartment was named Leon.
Right.
Okay. What's this guy's last name?
Leon.
Okay. Antonio Alentado Leon. Okay. And he runs he runs the Colombo's Italian Pizza Bakery Company. Now, he's got an Italian sounding name. He's running an Italian pizza shop. Okay. But he claims that he is the president of the Dallas unit of D.R.E.
Oh, really?
Okay. He said the original president had been Jorge Rodriguez Alvarado, who we just saw interviewed by the FBI. Now this guy, Leon, is the guy. Okay. So you would think that if members of D.R.E. were visiting Sylvia Odio, one of the guys would be the president, right? And his name is Leon.
Yeah.
His last name.
Or at least officers, which apparently they were.
Right. So, but Alentado advised that a national officer of D.R.E., Rogelio Cisneros, had come to Dallas in late spring or early summer for the purpose of promoting a Dallas unit of D.R.E. Now, again, this is back in June. Okay. Not at the end of September. Alentado said Odio could understand English and Spanish and could be useful in the translation of propaganda material, which, like you said, they brought her a letter to be translated, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's move on a little bit. And same guy's name, Wallace Heitman.
Yeah. Wait, back that up. I was reading. Back that up a little more. Oh, Odio said Odio could understand English and Spanish and could be useful in the translation of propaganda, which is kind of what her 3 September visitors were there to do. Many personal problems. Divorced woman with several children. Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to. I was catching that part about translation. I apologize, sir.
All good. So now we're going down. She's a great talker, he says, talking about Odio. And he says he recalled Odio had a few weeks ago related a story to him. She said 3 persons had visited her home in the Casa Linda section. 2 of these people appeared to be Mexicans. The 3rd person believed to be Lee Harvey Oswald. Odio said these persons talked to her about the situation in Cuba and how D.R.E. was doing in Dallas. Alentado said he did not question her extensively about her story because he did not put any confidence in the statements of Odio. So he's basically saying, I don't believe a word she's saying.
Yeah.
If members of D.R.E. had visited him, this guy, Leon, would have been one of them. So it's kind of...
he recalled Odio had a few weeks ago related a story to him. So in August of 64, she's still telling the story. Strange, because she seemed to be one that shunned the spotlight or any attention, right? But even up to August of 64, she's running around telling the story. Hey, did you hear? You know what I'm saying?
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, yeah. That's according to him. She repeated the story.
Don't believe a word she says. Okay? Because what she is saying, technically, Doug, is that members of D.R.E. and one guy named Leon came to visit her. Now, we don't know what this Alentado Leon guy looks like. Does he look like Oswald? Who knows? I don't know. But it's interesting to think about. So let's move on to Felix Guillermo Othon Pacho. Okay? Now,
Easy for you to say.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you who this motherfucker is. He is the official delegate of the anti-Castro Cuban group, the D.R.E. in Dallas. Okay?
All right.
This is the guy who replaced Sarita Castillo, possibly Sarita Odio. I don't know for sure, but it's possible. When Juan Salvat came to visit Dallas in October, he named Felix Guillermo Othon Pacho as the new head of the D.R.E. in Dallas. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He said the official Dallas delegate for the D.R.E. had previously been Sarita Castillo, who has now left Dallas and is living in New York, where she is employed somewhere. Othon said he had been designated as the delegate of the D.R.E. in approximately September of October 63, when Manuel Salvat, Secretary General of the National Organization of the D.R.E., had come to Dallas from Miami, along with two other persons who are members of the D.R.E., Joaquin Pencilis and another person named Anita. Salvat designated Othon as the delegate of the D.R.E. in Dallas for the purpose of organizing a unit of the organization in Dallas. Othon advised he had worked with the D.R.E. in Cuba and was therefore familiar with the organization. Now, Felix Guillermo Othon Pacho, Doug, is a Bay of Pigs veteran, okay?
Okay.
Okay. He's very young, too. I believe he was born in 41. So in 1963,
oh, wow. Yeah.
In 22. So
about Oswald's age.
Yeah, during the Bay of Pigs, he'd have been 19 or 20. And obviously he survived it. Obviously he made it out of Cuba. But you have to imagine this guy being a veteran of the Bay of Pigs and having tried to, fight in it. He probably lost a lot of friends, family. So this guy's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. He's carrying a grudge, bro.
Yeah. And look, for Salvat to come from Miami himself, okay? Now, Salvat is the head of operations for the D.R.E. For him to come from Miami to Dallas to appoint this guy, something that could have been done with the stroke of a pen and a letter, he actually comes to Dallas himself in person to do this.
I remember reading a document on the Dallas action years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was an account by an informant of a speech that Salvat gave in Texas, and it was one of those deals where it seems like he's about to threaten Kennedy at the bottom of page 9, right?
Yeah.
And then it jumps to page 12.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was this guy, Manuel Salvat. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have him, again, coming from Miami to Dallas to personally put Othon in charge of the D.R.E. in Dallas. Now, we also have at this time, this is about the same time where you have John Thomas Mason receiving a very big order from the D.R.E. when it comes to arms. So they're putting something together, okay? And it's interesting to me that Salvat he doesn't go to New Orleans to do this, okay?
Yeah, he's in Salvat's over here with this guy right around the same group of weeks that this thing with Mason is going to kick off for the big arms deal, right?
Correct. So, and it kind of reminds you of this, like what happened with David Ferry and Gordon Novell and the whole Schlumberger thing in Huma, Louisiana, when they went and stole stuff from the armory there.
The big powder magazine robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's hints of this thing, but you have all these very vehement, violent anti-Castro Cuban exiles in New Orleans, right? Now, allegedly, the CRC by this point in 63 had been disbanded officially, but you also have Carlos Bernier being the only delegate of the D.R.E. in New Orleans, yet he's still hanging around all his old CRC buddies, right? Like Barthez and all these other guys. Carlos Quiroga, even though they're not officially part of a D.R.E. group, they're all still in New Orleans. They're all still talking together, okay?
And they're all still active.
Yeah, and they're all still
very active.
In the shit, as you call it.
There you go.
But Salvat does not go to New Orleans to put that group in charge of a second invasion. He goes to Dallas and appoints a new guy. Okay. And he says, basically, hey, you're in charge of procuring arms, getting people together. We're going to figure this out, blah, 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 blah. That's interesting to me that he does not do this in New Orleans. He doesn't show up in New Orleans and tell Bernier and all his buddies, grab all your shit, get ready, get armed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes to Dallas.
Is it possible that they had received word through other means?
Possibly.
I guess one would have to find some of those indicators in the documents.
I think they were more used if you're looking at the whole Oswald thing. All right, the New Orleans guys had the goods on Oswald, right? And if we're setting Oswald up to be a patsy, okay, for the murder of Kennedy, the New Orleans guys would surely have had the motivation to do so. They had
the means as well,
right?
And the opportunity,
right? So if you look at the New Orleans branch of things as more of an information planning operation, like, look, if we're really going to do this thing, all right, we cannot get to Castro. We're fucking, the government is shutting us down. They're not letting us get to Castro. They're frustrated. They want to do something, and somebody comes up with a plan to say, all right, fuck it. We can't get to Castro, but you know who we can get to? Kennedy. And then maybe if we make it look like a pro-Castro sympathizer shot him, then maybe the United States government will finally do something about Castro and go in and just wipe this motherfucker off the face of the earth.
I do believe no matter who you think, who one thinks is behind it, I do think 100% that was the plan. Cuba was the prize.
Was perfect fucking patsy.
Tailor-made, bro.
I think Oswald was pretending to be pro-Castro or he was truly pro-Castro. It doesn't fucking matter. All right? He is portraying himself to be pro-Castro whether he truly believes it or he doesn't. But he is definitely doing so. He's checking all the boxes. He's writing all the right letters. He's doing the right things. He's traveling to the right places and putting himself out there as a pro-Castro supporter.
I'm of the opinion that regardless of what he might have been up to, whether he was a witting asset, a non-witting asset, whatever you think about him, I do not believe he was a right-leaning individual acting as a left-leaning individual for the purposes of operations. I think all indications is that he admired John Kennedy. that he actually liked John Kennedy.
Yeah, but see, both things can't.
You know?
You can't be a Castro supporter and love John Kennedy. So
Well, you can be a Castro supporter and admire Kennedy. I think you could.
maybe, but if Oswald is truly pro Castro and he believes that our government is fucking with Castro, like if you go back to the radio debate that he had with Bernier and all of these bad things that our country is doing to Cuba and Castro and the people of Cuba, then I don't know if he could really admire what Kennedy's doing. I just don't know.
Well, the indications I've gotten through like over the years is that his admiration for Kennedy was maybe it had to do with civil rights, Kennedy's civil rights policies and things like that.
I mean, I think up to
Social policies rather than maybe global politics or international relations, for sure.
Yeah, I think up to a point that might have been true, but towards the end, I just don't know. But back to this Othon guy here. He says he does not know Sylvia Odio, although he knows of her and is acquainted with her sister, Sarita. Othon further explained that he's never been to the home of Sylvia Odio and has never met her to his knowledge. He doesn't know Lee Harvey Oswald, never met Oswald to his knowledge. Othon said he knows nothing about a reported visit to the home of Sylvia Odio by 3 people, one of whom was reported by Odio to have appeared to be Oswald and the other 2 of whom are unknown. Allegedly. Now, here's a very interesting name, Doug.
Oh, Osvaldo Arellano Pino.
Yes.
Aurelio.
Yes.
Aurelio. I think that's how you say that.
Let me translate that from Spanish for all those out there. Okay. This is Oswald with the halo-like little dick.
Oh, really? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Aurelio? I was thinking areola, like Oswald nipple wiener. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, his little dick kind of has an aura around it. It kind of glows.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I actually don't. I don't know.
Oswaldo. But, I mean, you can't make this shit up, dude.
Can't make it up.
So he's a member of Alpha 66, okay, in Dallas. He says he doesn't know Sylvia Odio. He don't know nothing, but they're talking to him because, of course, his name, okay? And this is, he denies visiting Odio. He doesn't know Lee Harvey Oswald, never seen or met him, blah, 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 blah. Wally Heitman, again, is the same guy talking to all these people.
So the guy's Cuban. His name's Osvaldo, so Heitman's going to press him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's thorough as hell, isn't he, this guy?
Yeah. Now, here's another name, Richard Burnett. Bob Burnett. Or Dick Burnett, sorry, not Bob. So he's also investigating into things for the FBI when it comes to Odio. Now they're talking to some of her doctors, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Like I said, a lot of this is not totally relevant to anything. Described Miss Odio as a very nervous and high-strung individual. You see this description in a lot of places, that she was a little crazy, that maybe suffering from delusions and
and then there's that story that I can't remember the particulars of, that she was picked up on Turtle Creek Drive by the cops, like incoherent, rambling, kind of wandering around in the road there. I can't remember the particulars. Wish I could. That was an interesting story.
Now, here is an interesting story that you're not going to hear about anywhere else when it comes to Sylvia Odio and Father McCann. Okay? This comes from Elsa Gore, who worked at the Professional Center Hospital in Irving, Texas. Now, you might recognize that name of that place. That is where Buell Frazier's dad was at on November 22nd, or stepdad was at on November 22nd, 1963, that he went to visit immediately after the assassination for a couple hours. He was arrested there, as a matter of fact.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Miss Gore stated her records that indicate that Sylvia Eugenia Odio was a patient at this hospital, and that was from the time of her admission. Now, note the times and dates here. She was admitted at 4 p.m. on November 22nd, 1963. Okay? She was held in the hospital until 3:15 on November 24th. The patient was described as a single female, 26, an employee of the National Chem Search of Irving, Texas. She listed as her friend, notice not her sisters, but Sheila McCorrick of Dallas. The hospital records indicate Miss Odio was treated by Dr. Louis Schlepak, whose final medical diagnosis of her condition was psychophysiologic vasomotor reaction.
The hell is a vasomotor?
I guess her nervous system.
Yeah.
I think what they would call this today is anxiety.
Ah. Oh, I have about 15 psychophysiologic vasomotor reactions a day if it's anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had one earlier.
Yes, I did. That was the third one this morning. I'm not even kidding.
Dr. Schlepak prepared a history and physical report on November 22nd pertaining to Odio's health, and it reads as follows. Now, pay attention here, folks. This is where it gets real fucking interesting. So this 25-year-old white female, now, even though she's Cuban or Latina, all of them were designated, if you're not black, you're white. Okay?
Well, yeah, back then.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Even when we were kids. Like, if you were Asian, you were white.
Yeah, if you were American Indian, if you were Mexican or Latino, you were white. It was either black or white. So this 25-year-old white female was admitted after fainting at work. The patient is 2 months pregnant, Doug, and has been having a threatened abortion. Now, what that means is that there's a possibility that she might miscarry.
Yeah, that's the wording. That would be the, modern vernacular, I guess, is that she's having a troubled pregnancy. Yeah.
She had been bleeding for approximately 4 or 5 days, and at the present time, approximately 3 nights ago, she had very heavy bleeding, but it has lessened since that time. So they're watching her. They're very closely watching her. The patient was in an automobile accident approximately 1 month ago, in which her abdomen was slightly injured. She had bleeding for approximately 2 days following this, and has been under considerable emotional strain and under the care of a psychiatrist as well.
Okay, was this the reason for the surgeries in the latter part of that year? If I remember correctly, her kids were with Guitart, her uncle in New Orleans, or was it right? And she went to after she had an operation. She went to New Orleans to pick him up. Saw a newspaper on his table with Oswald's photo on it, and said, "Hey, that guy was at my house."
And he said, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, I sent him niece.
Yes. So. And also curiously, around this time, you have Father McCann in the hospital at Parkland. All right. He kind of disappears for a while, for a couple weeks prior to the assassination. And he kind of has his own manic episode, mental breakdown, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And I believe he is released somewhere around the 22nd or possibly the week after. But he kind of went missing. Like, nobody knew where he was. It turns out he's in Parkland, having a mental breakdown. Now, is this because he is a priest, okay, who had just knocked up a young Latina with 4 kids already? I mean, you look at this chick wrong, Doug. She's going to get pregnant, right? Your pull-out game better be on point with this chick. Okay?
Rob, I disagree. I think it's if you look at her just right.
But now, So, and then she tells Father McCann, look, I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh, fuck, I'm a priest. This can't be happening. He has a mental breakdown, right? And then all of a sudden, okay, after the assassination, Father McCann up and quits the priesthood and moves to New Orleans, of all fucking places.
Of all places.
And strikes up a friendship with Augustin Guitart, of all people.
Of all people.
Who just happens to be around when Sylvia Odio calls her uncle and talks to him, right?
Right. When she returns, she surfaces again post-operation right after the assassination to pick up her kids in New Orleans.
Yeah, so you have Father McCann freaking out, leaving the priesthood, moving to New Orleans, starting to go to, I believe it's Tulane? What? Possibly? I'm not sure. But anyway, starts striking up a friendship with Augustin Guitart, Sylvia Odio's uncle at this point in time. So he's distancing himself from Sylvia Odio, who's possibly pregnant with his kid.
But he's cozying up to her family several hundred miles away.
Right. I mean, I think he still wants information about what's the situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also have him being pursued by another young woman that he was banging at the time named Mary Ann Sullivan.
Counseling, Rob. The word is counseling. He was another young lady he was counseling at the time. Please.
Yeah. So
how crude.
So this whole fainting spell at her work happened soon after hearing of the president's death. Okay. She was seen at work, then taken to the hospital in the ambulance. This is apparently the patient's fourth pregnancy. It's actually her fifth. She already had 4 kids. This would have been her 5th pregnancy.
At 26.
25.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 25. Wow.
Yeah. So, obviously, when she sees that President Kennedy has been killed, she freaks the fuck out because she knows something. Right? Or she thinks she knows something. I mean, that's not the normal reaction of a person who is not involved in anything.
And in her circles, we've talked a lot about, of course, the sentiment among the Cuban exile community regarding John Kennedy. And with all the moving and people moving around and the movements that they're making in 1963, even absent of Oswald, like if she heard about Kennedy's death before she learned of the identity of the number one suspect, I can see her freaking out and fainting. Just, oh shit, which one of our guys did it?
Right.
How many people in that community immediately assumed it was someone in that community? Probably more than one.
And especially if she was in the know of something that was possibly in the works.
That's right. And considering who her uncle was, where her uncle was, yeah, for sure.
So let's now move over real quick, Doug, to this book here. Oswald Talked.
Ah, yes, the La Fontaines.
Now, folks out there, I reviewed this book on the Lone Gunman Book Reviews a couple weeks ago, and I think a lot of this was overlooked at the time, but there's a lot of good information in here.
I missed that book review. What's your overall view of that book, Rob?
I think it's been overlooked. I think it's good. I think it's chock full of good new information.
I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
Absolutely. So they asked John Thomas Mason to identify who the D.R.E. guy was that ordered all these weapons. And he gave him an AKA, an alias, okay, of George Peril. George Peril is actually Felix Guillermo Othon Pacho.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And in the book here, it says, let's see. Yeah, Salvat had recruited him on that occasion to serve as the D.R.E. Secretary for Military Affairs in Dallas. In practice, this meant that Sarita's fellow student and directorate member was to locate arms for guerrilla strikes against Castro. Now, what they also tell you in the book is that Sarita was going to the University of Dallas at the time, and this guy, Othon, was one of her classmates, so they knew each other well.
Wow. It's a small, I've said it a million times, this arena we study and the people we study, it's a small world.
Absolutely. And now moving over, you can bring John Martino into the conversation. Okay. He did a 3-hour anti-Castro pep talk as part of his book tour in Dallas in October of 1963. Okay. This was funded by the John Birch Society. And he later told a Newsday reporter named John Cummings that he himself had, quote, played a role in the Kennedy assassination, an admission first reported 20 years later by Anthony and Robin Summers in Vanity Fair. Quote, it was 2 guns, 2 people were involved, and they were anti-Castro Cubans.
Yep.
Now, he refused to name them, okay, but that is what he said.
You know, our friend Bill Simpich, he said that there are certain people, he doesn't believe everybody who's ever made some sort of confession or some sort of slip in regard to their role on that day, but there are certain people he absolutely believes, Morales and Martino being 2 of them, and I'm with him 100%. Martino was just right there. Could very well have been the spoke in the wheel. You go one way, you get to Trafficani, Rosselli, Harvey, Morales. You go the other way, you get to Lauren Hall, Santiago, people like that, Interpin. Dude, the hub of the wheel, right? Yeah. Not a spoke, the hub. I misspoke. Oh, hey, did you see what I did there? I didn't even know I did. Yeah, that was cool.
So, also in this book, the Warren Commission member Gerald Ford called the murder of Officer J.D. Tippit the Rosetta Stone of the assassination, meaning that if you could prove that Oswald killed Tippit, then therefore he had to have killed Kennedy, and it would open the entire thing up. However, the LaFontaines thinks that when you figure out the anti-Castro Cuban exile community in Dallas and what was going on, that is going to be the Rosetta Stone of who was actually involved in the assassination and pulling it off.
I think that's closer to the truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add the caveat and their connections to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Let's see here. Now, this also wraps into the story of John Elrod, the 4th tramp, and him claiming to have been briefly cellmates with Oswald on November 22nd, 63. We do have his arrest report.
Right.
He was arrested, we figured out last night, Doug, 3 blocks away from John Thomas Mason's gun shop.
Wow.
He was reported to be seen walking down the railroad tracks with a rifle.
Elrod.
Yeah.
Wow.
But when they got to him, he didn't have the rifle anymore. He must have ditched it somewhere. But he's literally 3 blocks away from John Thomas Mason's gun shop on Harry Hines Boulevard, and the railroad tracks ran kind of behind it.
With a rifle.
With a rifle. That was the report. That they went there and they picked him up, and they put him in the Dallas jail. Now, what he says is, for a small, short period of time, you know, because they were pulling Oswald in and out of the jail cell all day, right? November 22nd, November 23rd.
What was his explanation for the rifle?
Who?
Elrod.
He claimed he never had one.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Perhaps he was carrying a mop handle, Rob.
You never know.
You never know.
Maybe it was just his big dick. Who knows?
What is it with you and appendages today, bro?
Hey, what's that saying about walking tall and carrying a big stick?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But what he said, so Oswald's in and out of these jail cells all day, right? And the jail's crowded. They got all these people in there, and he's likely in and out of different jail cells, wherever they got room
Yeah.
to stay,
Yeah.
What Elrod's claims is that when he was in there with Oswald, he talked to him at some point, and he pointed out to a guy who had a fucked up face in there. That was likely either Donnell Witter or Lawrence Miller. They were talking about a gun running thing and a meeting in a hotel in Dallas that occurred a couple days earlier.
Right.
Jack Ruby. And by the way, I believe it was Donnell. I think it was Donnell Witter who was Jack's mechanic. He worked on all his stuff at the Texaco station at the corner of Clarendon and Ewing, and Jack Ruby lived on Ewing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is some dots that you can connect there as well. But something interesting that Joe speculated on is that when you look at pictures of John Thomas Mason, he kind of resembles Oswald a little bit. They're about the same age, and they kind of look alike, right? So what if Elrod was actually not in the cell with Oswald, but in the cell with Mason? And he's the one that told Elrod about a meeting with gun running and Jack Ruby a couple days
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of interesting shit going on here. And they were fucking with Mason hard. Like as soon as all this shit went down and everything got fucked up, Ellsworth was on this guy's ass, charging him with all kinds of shit throughout the 60s. And I mean, it was one thing after the other. He did jail time in the 60s. He got barred from owning a gun shop anymore or selling firearms. So he found a loophole where one of his buddies let him work inside their gun shop, and he was kind of an independent gunsmith, doing repairs. He wasn't actually selling the weapons anymore.
Allegedly. Those kind of guys, though, they don't really stop. They just try to figure out a smarter way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they never really do stop. That's probably why he's just got in trouble for the next decade over and over again. Same old shit.
And John Thomas Mason lived up until last November.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, he would have been interesting to talk to.
Yeah, he lived till the age of 84. But yeah, he's sadly not with us anymore. But he turned himself into a very respected and sought after manufacturer of aftermarket gun parts. Like, he was very skilled at making like aftermarket shoulder, butt pads.
Oh, wow.
Or like, AR-15s and different things and attachments and sights and grips and all that stuff. So he did quite well with his life after all of this mess, but you never really know exactly what was going on with all this stuff.
No. I would love to have talked to that guy or tried to get a little something out of him, a little bit of info.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That would have been great.
So the entire encompassing point I'm trying to make here is that, you can tie in this John Thomas Mason, this clusterfuck with the ATF and the FBI in Dallas and gun running and Jack Ruby, and marry it into the D.R.E. in Dallas, the rising sentiment, the frustration of these anti-Castro Cuban exiles of not being shackled and being told that, hey, we're taking your funding away. Don't do anything. You will be arrested. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, we're going to make a final push at the end of November. Oh, by the way, we're canceling that as well. We're done. Everything needs to stop. and then you have the Kennedy assassination. To me, it's not a coincidence.
I don't believe so either. Absolutely not. I think when the Kennedys, and it was after the I believe the Alpha 66, the Commandos L. The Commandos L, when they hit the ships in the Cuban harbor in early 63, and when Kennedy shut them down and gave them those curfews, confined to county, if we catch you out of the county that you live in, you're going to jail. That's it. We're just going to assume you're going to raid Cuba. And it was the autonomous raids. And that was the last straw, I guess. But in my opinion, the operation to murder Kennedy was already rolling at that point. It was probably no later than January of 63 when it kicked off. But what you're talking about, the dynamic, that shutting everybody down, pulling funding, that was the last straw, in my opinion.
Yeah, of a very many years long frustration at every turn type of thing for these anti-Castro Cuban exiles who were still pissed about the Bay of Pigs. Like the CIA managed to manage these motherfuckers for a while by overpaying them, okay, and telling them to just shut the fuck up. You can still do all the propaganda you want, make a radio show and blast it over to Cuba, go drop flyers or whatever the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
Other than that, don't let us catch you on any motherfucking boats with arms, any of this.
You will go to jail.
Yeah, I mean, the D.R.E. was planning on buying their own island in the Caribbean named Base Martha and launching an attack from there at the end of November. But
yeah, like I say, man, the effort to move these operations, there was not an effort to shut them down by the people. There was no progression over to propaganda. Okay, well, fine. They don't want to. We'll just go to Nicaragua. We'll find a island out in the middle of nowhere. Somewhere around Bimini, or move the shit offshore. Find rich, sympathetic folks with land and landing strips in Guatemala. That kind of thing.
Speaking of the rich folks, they had the backings of people like Claire Booth Luce, Pauly.
Yep, William Pauly.
Okay, and you also have at this time, and it goes into it in the book, where you have Ted Shackley at JM Wave letting his superiors know that the shit is coming down the pipe, and he's fucking not happy, and he's letting them know, hey, look, all this stuff's getting planned. We need to distance ourselves from all of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's listening. And, I mean, the documents are there.
They are.
Very vivid picture of what the climate was like at this time in 1963, and it's all leading to a fucking head that at some point is going to explode.
And it did. It was a tinderbox.
Yeah.
And nothing that the Kennedy brothers tried to diffuse it did any good.
No.
Just made it worse and worse and worse.
The Cubans didn't trust him. The anti-Castro Cuban exiles did not trust Kennedy. They didn't trust the CIA.
Nope. Nobody trusted anybody.
They took their money. That's for sure.
Yeah, for
no
sure.
problem. But again, they weren't disseminating any of those funding down the pipe to people like Brignier, to people like Othon in Dallas, or maybe they were. I mean, you don't go buy $30,000 worth of guns, okay, in 1963. That's the equivalent of $300,000 in today's money.
Yeah.
You don't pull that out of thin air. Okay. So
no, it's not. With that bunch, it's not coming from private donations, I don't think. But
Salvat coming to Dallas at that point was to deliver a big sum of money to be used in exchange for a big sum of arms.
That's right. And they weren't for target practice.
No.
So the D.R.E., huh, Rob?
Yeah, man. And this was Salvat in the early 60s. If you want to know what he looked like, he's on the left here. He was a big boy, Doug.
Who's that on the right with him? You know?
Osvaldo Pino. No,
That's
I don't know. I don't know.
well, no wonder he looks so sad with a name like that.
But I mean, look at Salvat, man. He looks like he just ate like 10 hot dogs and he's happy as fuck about it.
Yeah, man. Either that or somebody walked in the room with a pie. That's what that looks like to me.
But, Salvat managed to live a very long life. He just passed away recently in 2024.
Yeah. I would like to have talked to him too.
He was running a bookstore / publishing company in Miami up until the time that he passed away. And here, very quickly, Doug, is a brief 30-second interview with him that you will not be able to understand.
Oh, awesome.
But here it is. You can see the man himself in his later years.
Estábamos buscando un cambio del gobierno en Cuba. Eso es lo que nosotros estábamos buscando. Y el lograr que se organizara democráticamente la sociedad cubana de nuevo. Podía no haberse llamado revolucionario, aunque un cambio radical sí estábamos buscando, porque era el cambio de todo el gobierno comunista que existía en Cuba. Hoy en día yo le hubiera quizás puesto otro nombre, pero es el que se puso y también tengo orgullo de esa tradición cubana de directorio revolucionario.
So what did he say?
I have no fucking idea.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, I thought you were going to translate when it was over.
Something about loving hot dogs, I think.
He was thinking about Pino again.
It gives me hope as a larger a gentleman that I will live a long, maybe not so healthy life, but there's hope for me yet.
Hey, man, just keep some suspenders around, apparently. You're going to have those.
Oh, yeah.
His were snazzy, I thought.
Lord knows my ass ain't going to keep my pants up.
See, that's why you need... There's another word for suspenders. What is it? There's another word, and it's a funny word, but I can't remember what the word is. But, yeah. Do you have suspenders, Rob?
I do have a pair of suspenders.
I do not.
I don't wear them.
Yeah.
Wearing them, but I have them just in case I ever need them.
I have never, ever owned a pair of suspenders. Prom and my wedding. Those are the only two times I've ever had them on.
Oh, shit.
It's true. It's true. But enough about my haberdashery damn habits, Rob. You want to talk about more Cuban exiles?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We're going to talk about this guy. Wait. Real quick. Before we get into the topic, on our last episode, Rob, I told the story to the listeners of being at JFK Lancer a couple of years ago and witnessing Daniel Sheehan's presentation, part of which was about Operation 40, right?
Yeah.
Just for clarification, the unnamed researcher and esteemed author that I was seated with whom I had that conversation about, just being absolutely perplexed at Mr. Sheehan's presentation, that was David Boylan, is who that was. He told me it was okay if I told everybody he was perplexed about that thing with me as well. So that was our friend David Boylan, who looked at me and said, "What?" So there you go.
You're talking about.
What is this motherfucker talking about? Okay, Mr. Triple B. For our next segment, we have a few quick hits on image one, please, sir, if you would.
I think I know this guy.
You think you know this guy?
Allegedly, if I can share my fucking screen right.
Yay, Rob's having technical difficulties too. That's awesome. This guy right here. The Veciana misdirection, Rob.
Yes.
Early 60s Cuban exile leader Antonio Veciana. Did Antonio Veciana, the guy on the left, a prominent Cuban exile leader of the organization known as Alpha 66, actually see Lee Harvey Oswald with a CIA agent who went by the name of Maurice Bishop there on the right? According to Veciana, no other witnesses And was CIA's David Atlee Phillips the middle fella there? In fact, the man that Veciana knew as Maurice Bishop. Myself, I don't believe the story at all, Rob. I believe that Veciana was just another prong in a mid-'70s disinformation campaign, probably emanating from United States military intelligence, that was meant to muddy the waters. A campaign that Fletcher Prouty was probably the very first wave of. And I believe that Dr. John Newman, Rob, has shown decisively that Veciana's story changed dramatically, no less than 6 times over 3 decades. Not only that, dude, that none of the 6 versions of his story of his recruitment and all that by this bishop could actually be true, could actually have occurred in any of the 6 ways that Mr. Veciana describes over some 30 years. I just don't believe it. Now, Rob, we do not come to these convictions lightly. Nope, these things only occur to us after a hell of a lot of study and research, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's right. Like I said, I still do not believe Veciana's story. I think the entire story of David Atlee Phillips being this bishop and the story of Veciana seeing Bishop Phillips with Oswald is untrue. I think it's made up. I think Veciana was directed to misdirect, just like Prouty. And when Veciana had his big truth will set me free moment, remember what I'm talking about, is coming out in 2014?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I knew immediately in my gut in that moment that we had been had. It was all performative nonsense. But, Rob, I ran across a document.
But Judith Baker said that Oswald told her that he met David Atlee Phillips.
Oh, well then I should just forget this whole presentation and let you go next.
Pray continue, sir.
I ran across a document that I had to show you, Rob, and I had to show the listeners. No, wait, the viewers. Or we're on YouTube now. I keep forgetting. Rob, this document, when I saw it, not going to lie, it gave me a little bit, like 1/10,000th of a second's worth of pause. Not going to lie. For an instant, for a fraction of an instant, I was like, wait, what? All right, it's a document I've never seen. It is a document, an anomaly, a document of the specific type that I've never seen. But I'm going to show you. Image 2, please. Sir, here is the document cover sheet. Yeah, all right, there. All right, now, image 3, sir, as we can see here, dated Miami, Florida, March 4, 1964, about the 2nd National Front of Escambray, Operation Alpha 66. Now, this is about a meeting, all right? Let's read this document. The following information was furnished on February 28th of 1964 by MMT1, who was well acquainted with some officials of the Castro government and certain leaders of the 2nd National Front of Escambray. On February 28th, 7 Cubans representing the 2nd National Front of Escambray and 2 Americans who were described as lawyers from Orlando, Florida, met in the offices of Elliott Roosevelt, Miami. 5 of the Cubans known to the source were Antonio Veciana, Richard Varanes, 1 Garcia, first name unknown, 1 Medina, possibly Carlos Medina, and Armando Fleites. I hope I said that right. All right, now, Rob, check this out. Image number 4. The 2 Americans were a Mr. Bishop and Bob Petrie, both lawyers, allegedly from Orlando. And there it is, Rob. This is the first contemporaneous document, FBI, CIA, Army intelligence, whatever, that I have ever seen that actually puts Antonio Veciana in a room doing militant anti-Castro exile things in Miami with a man named Bishop. Like, seriously, have you ever seen one?
No.
Me neither. I mean, this is like I said, it's an anomaly. His name in a contemporaneous document from the early 60s that contains any reference to him actually being in the company of a man named Bishop, as witnessed by a third party.
Interesting.
Yeah, I still don't believe him, but, I think chances are that this Mr. Bishop was, in fact, a lawyer from Orlando.
Right.
Right. All right. Now, keep in mind, the reason for this is we have yet to find one shred of documentary evidence that the Maurice Bishop of CIA claimed to exist by Veciana ever actually existed. And we probably never will. I think Veciana or someone directing Veciana made the whole thing up. And as for the rest of this file, this document, there's nothing really worth mentioning in the remainder of it. Just some detail about this particular group's big plans for overthrowing Castro and a plea for a public declaration of support from LBJ. Pretty much it. All right. Now, Rob, next. Another Veciana document, quick hit number 2. Now, we should explain to newer YouTube viewers who have not followed this show since 2019, Rob, that even though with the other 2 shows, the episodes are usually narrative with a single topic focused throughout, and this one is more scattershot. All right. Now, Rob, in our last episode, we discussed the ill will, right? The mistrust that existed among different Cuban exile factions. In fact, we read a contemporaneous document from right after the Bay of Pigs invasion that detailed how some very prominent and influential anti-Castro Cuban leaders had discovered that they themselves were to be targets of assassination by the CIA by Operation 40, a component of the Bay of Pigs, had the invasion actually been successful. The CIA's elite squad was allegedly directed to take out some of the more left-leaning exile leaders along with known Fidel supporters. So the phenomenon, anti-Castro exiles targeting each other, was not uncommon. Right, Rob?
Right.
Right. So for this next document, a little background. It is, an NSA document that the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence had to jump through some hoops to obtain from the NSA in the mid-'70s because they'd been hipped to its existence and they were curious about it, I guess. And it is curious. As you can see here, image number 5. Is this number 5? Yes, sir. Oh, go back one, Rob. I was right. I got behind. It's a 16-page National Security Agency file. There's the record number. Subject, Senate Letter 12-2076 regarding Antonio Veciana. All right, I'm going to jump to the last document in the file first. It'll give everybody some context. Number 6, please, sir. There we go. Top secret memorandum for the record. Rob, dated January 4th, 1977. Subject, Senate Select Committee on Intelligence inquiry into the assassination of Kennedy and King. On 30 December, the undersigned met with Howard Liebengood, Deputy Staff Director of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Staff, and Tom Moore, staff member. The meeting was to permit the committee to read an NSA in-product report on Cuba in response to the committee's letter number 5900, dated 20 December 1976. The committee staff members exhibited keen interest in the product and the 2 Cuban national names contained therein. The committee staff also indicated that they intended to broaden the scope of their inquiry and would forward to NSA another letter requesting access to all Cuban reports stored in the repository for the period. All right. After the meeting, the undersigned contacted Lieutenant Colonel Don Bennett of Mr. Latimer's office to inform him of the first letter since it had been sent directly to NSA. I'm going to pause here, Rob. They really want to see this document. They're jumping through hoops, bro. Lieutenant Colonel Bennett indicated that another DOD component had been asked for similar information. As a result, Lieutenant Colonel Bennett stated that Mr. Latimer was revising his earlier containing policy on providing to the committee information on the assassinations and now had decided on a policy of full cooperation. Well, that's nice of him, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As Mr. Latimer's direction, Lieutenant Colonel Bennett will draft a letter to Staff Director Bill Miller suggesting a meeting between the committee staff and Mr. Latimer's staff. The meeting will focus on projected DOD responses to the committee's inquiry. All right, now, here is that request, Rob. Next image, number 7, December 20, 1976, to Mr. Frank Foster from the Legislative Affairs Office, National Security Agency. Dear Frank, we understand that you have been apprised of the Select Committee's interest in an NSA document dated 29 November 1962, right after the missile crisis, regarding a subject of interest to the committee, Mr. Antonio Veciana. If you would be kind enough to contact me at an early convenient date to discuss committee access to such a document, we would be most appreciative. Thank you for your ongoing assistance. Howard Liebinggood. Now, Rob, there is a note added on the second page of this document. Image 8, please. In response to the United States Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Request number 5724 re Antonio Veciana, the attached document has been withheld from the Senate Select Committee.
That means you ain't getting it.
That means you ain't getting it. Please advise how, if at all, NSA desires this document to be described to the Senate Select Committee so that Senate Select Committee may then obtain its own clearance from NSA for access to the document. So they're really making them jump through hoops. They really need to know how to describe it to them, I guess, so the Senate Select Committee can then describe it that way again to make sure they get the document. Am I reading that right?
That's what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds like. Okay, the next image, Rob, number 9, is the document. Page 1. And we know it's the document in question because, as you can see by the big red arrow, someone was nice enough to point that out for us for history. This
is the document.
This is the document. So there's no question here, guys. This ain't no Poe White radio. We give you the real shit. All right, here we go. The next image is the document. Okay, all these NSA cryptonyms, Rob, see them?
Mm-hmm.
Not my thing. I ain't got a clue. CIA, yes. NSA, I'm not going to know. I don't know what any of that means, but here's the message. U.S., UK, Canada eyes only, to be given limited distribution. Now, here's the message. You see, it's going to Puerto Rico. When it says you, I assume United States. From United States to Puerto Rico, I could be wrong. Cautiousness and equanimity, which you possess. I imagine that it said, hey, you should do your shit with, right? Dear Mr. Messages, part of it's not there still, is what I'm saying. The refinery plan be carried out after completing the recruiting task and when the conditions exist. I imagine this is a sabotage plan on a refinery in Cuba, right? Right. All right. Next image, please, sir. The plan for the execution of Veciana and Estevez is less important than the other. What information do you have about Plan PO Alpha? Despite detection of the plan, you may carry out the plan of action against Veciana. Listen tomorrow to the transmissions about concrete objectives. Then down there it says C% Can Antonio Veciana, Puerto Rican spokesman for Alpha 66. So there you have it, Rob. Somebody in the NSA was planning on taking Mr. Veciana out in November of 1962. Curious because that's right after the missile crisis. Could it be someone was planning on eliminating possible future hiccups after the missile crisis?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, we all know Alpha 66 was one of the most unruly of the anti-Castro Cuban exile groups who would do shit willy-nilly.
Yeah. Willy-nilly is exactly right. But yeah, according to this, NSA did not want anyone to know that there had been a plan somewhere in their operations back in the day to pop Antonio Veciana. But it did get out, sir. It did get out. Now, back, Rob, to Veciana's alleged working relationship with the alleged Maurice Bishop, who was allegedly David Atlee Phillips. According to Veciana, nearly all of his major anti-Castro activities and operations were planned and executed at the direction and at the direct instruction of and with the equipment, cash, supplies, etc., provided by his CIA case officer, Maurice Bishop, whom Veciana later identified as CIA's David Atlee Phillips, right?
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly. I have an excerpt, for you, Mr. Rob. Image 11, if you might. This is excerpted from the House Select Committee on Assassinations Report, Volume 10, Anti-Castro Activities and Organizations. It says this regarding Veciana's claims. Alpha 66 became one of the most active of the anti-Castro exile groups, buying boats and guns, recruiting and training commandos, and conducting numerous raids on Cuba. At one point, Veciana boasted a war chest of over $100,000 and announced that all the major exile organizations were backing Alpha 66's efforts. According to Veciana, the man behind all of this was Maurice Bishop. Really? Okay, Rob, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to October 22nd of 1962 with our next document, image 12, sir. The very same day that President Kennedy took to the television airwaves to inform the American public of the Soviet missiles in Cuba and thus the Cuban Missile Crisis, this United States Army Operational Survey Detachment memo of October 22nd, 1963 is summarizing, Rob, an October 20 interview of Veciana by Army Intelligence. All right? Reference. Here we go. Antonio Veciana was interviewed on 20 October 1962 with the following results in addition to that submitted in message of references. There is a working agreement between Alpha 66 and CIA. Extent of agreement not stated. Veciana stated CIA persons were very nice, but constantly asking for information and giving no assistance. B. CIA has given assistance in the form of developing special rations and giving some of these rations to Alpha 66. Alpha 66 is required to feed 300 people daily at 98 cents each. Rations very rich in vitamins, minerals, etc. Prior to the raid on La Isabela, an Alpha 66 member stole approximately $600 worth of explosives from the CIA. Explosives were used in the La Isabela raid. So they're getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of support and equipment and material, logistics from Maurice Bishop, but they had to steal $600 worth of dynamite from the CIA. All right. Sure. Whatever. Image 13, please, Mr. Rob. Veciana stated that CIA has made numerous attempts to determine exact plans of Alpha 66, where weapons obtained, etc., but the information given to CIA has been false. So is Veciana lying to United States Army intelligence in the middle of the Cuban Missile Crisis regarding his relationship with CIA? Or did he lie to every damn body else beginning in 1974?
I would say the latter.
I would say the latter, Rob. As a matter of fact, I maintain that Veciana was being 100% truthful in 1962 to Army intelligence in that in his relationship with CIA was practically non-existent in 1962. The proof, sir, is in even more contemporaneous documents. Next image, number 14, please. What in the world was that?
My vibrator.
Okay.
And my phone's on vibrate.
Well, I know that. See, he puts it in his pocket every Wednesday, and I am required to call him every 12 minutes.
Well, we got emails pouring into the sack. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. So your sack is vibrating.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Listen to this. On October 31, 1962, a boat of Alpha 66 was confiscated in the Miami River by United States Customs. The material on the boat consisted of small arms and other supplies, was also confiscated. It is believed that the boat and supplies were impounded to prevent the Alpha 66 members from conducting a raid on Cuba. United States Army Operational Survey Detachment is in contact with Mr. Veciana, an Alpha 66 representative, and he has requested United States Army assistance in securing the release of his boat and equipment. Informal discussions with Customs indicate that an expression of interest by another government agency might secure the release of the boat and equipment. And guys, he's asking the Army to be that, so he might get his boat back from Customs.
Yes.
Securing the release of this Alpha 66 boat very probably will assist United States Army Office of Strategic Detachment or Operational, what the hell, you know what I'm saying, in collecting information on Cuba and may assist in creating a black infiltration capability. Do you know what they're saying here, Rob?
I do. It means they might be able to turn this into a situation that benefits them by helping Alpha 66 get their boat back. They might be able to say, okay, we got your boat back. Now we need some information and maybe a favor or two.
That's exactly where this is going, dude. Rob, even if one sentence of Veciana's description of his operational relationship with this Bishop Phillips of the CIA were true at all, then this document wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
These words would not be put together in this particular order anywhere in any contemporaneous document. Why? Because it would have been CIA's boat. That's why.
Exactly.
And if you study this facet of history close enough, you know that Customs and CIA had all that agreed to. CIA-sanctioned ops got a pass. If CIA didn't want you operating, they dimed you out to Customs. If that boat had been in any way CIA affiliated, it wouldn't have been tagged by Customs in the first place. The operation would have been allowed. So what happened to Veciana's gunboat? Did Veciana not simply hit up his boss, benefactor, planner, supplier, Bishop?
Hey man, what are you doing?
Dude, what's going on? Please, I need my boat back. They have your boat. You were supposed to square this, Murray. Right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, because there was no Maurice Bishop. Last document, Rob, image number 15, please. On 7 February, Major Watlington called undersigned to report the results of his conversation with Mr. Fortier, Bureau of Customs, Miami. Fortier referred to his file and stated the following: no action has been taken on the case. It is being handled in Tampa. No government agency, meaning CIA, had interceded on their behalf. Therefore, there were little likelihood of favorable adjudication or prompt action. Mr. Fortier suggested that if there were any effort to release the material by an interested government agency, it should be made through Mr. Philip Nichols, Jr., Director of Customs, Washington. He hazarded the opinion that if such an effort were made, the material would probably be returned. He did add that the boat was a Cuban boat stolen from Cuba, although he did not believe this affected the adjudication of the case. Veciana has been called 3 times since his visit to Washington. In each instance, there was no further progress to report to him, aside from telling him that we were continuing to look into the case. On the latest contact, he was told we would have an answer one way or another by 15 February. So according to Antonio Veciana, Rob, CIA/Bishop owned Alpha 66, ran Alpha 66 lock, stock, and barrel. But in the middle of the missile crisis, he tells Army intelligence that CIA gives no help and is nosy, to which Veciana says he responds with lies. He bullshits the CIA because they are of no help. No help. He's got to beg Army intelligence to help him get his boat back from customs. Mr. Diogenio, Mrs. Pease, Mr. Poe White Radio, listen very carefully. 13 months prior to the assassination of John Kennedy, Veciana is begging the Army to help him get his boat back from customs. 13 months prior to the assassination, Veciana is begging the Army to help him get his boat back. CIA is ghosting him. If Bishop is real, he's ghosting Antonio Veciana. If the relationship with this bishop that Veciana claimed, guys, was at all real, this document would not exist. If Veciana had anywhere near the relationship with CIA that Veciana spent 3 decades spinning in yarns, if there really was, Rob, a Maurice Bishop whose hand guided and supplied Veciana and Alpha 66, then these Army intelligence documents regarding this boat would not be in front of us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Antonio Veciana's Maurice Bishop was not real. What do you think, Rob? Was he real?
No.
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 Not real.
No.
Not real. And thus concludes our Veciana Maurice Bishop allegedly presentation. Rob, thoughts, comments, contradictions, devil's advocacy.
I think it's perfect. You laid it out perfectly. I mean, you can't argue with the documents.
Nope.
And it perfectly falls in line with what Newman's been saying for years now, that, you know, Veciana is actually working with military intelligence and not the CIA. Yet, in order to get out of prison early in the 70s, he was probably co-opted into, you know, because, again, this is all at the time of the HSCA investigation and in these various committees that, you know, and somebody got spooked along the way and said, you know, we need to come up with a cover story for all this, and let's throw it under the auspices of the CIA over here. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
he popped up within months of Prouty.
Yeah.
Like right there, man. Right there in the face of these governmental, you know, you had the Senate Select Committee, you know, you had Watergate going on, and at the time, all these committees were up. The church committee, you know, all this stuff was opening up. They were coming after him, and there had to be some deflection. You know, it was a multi-pronged attack. I think Prouty was the tip of the spear, bro, and Veciana was right behind him, and it worked. It worked.
It sure as hell did.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Oh, wait, I saw, could Veciana be a Castro mole? I don't believe so, but I'm sure it's certainly possible. He certainly, in a lot of people's eyes, did a lot of damage to the reputation of the CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my opinion, they don't need any help. You know, have you heard of this show, Homeland, with Claire Danes? You heard of that show?
Yeah, never watched it.
Never
Yeah.
watched it. My wife's watching it right now, and it's completely full of shit. The director says, "We are not assassins," and I was like, "Okay, I can't suspend disbelief for this one. I'm going to go watch drag racing at that point." You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep. But Claire Dane, hey man, dude, she looks nice with blonde hair. Just saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been at this for 2 hours, bro. You want to take a break? A little commercial break?
Yep. We'll take a little commercial break, and we'll be right back, folks.
Right back.
We ain't done yet.
We ain't done yet. We just getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got like the same amount of stuff ready.
Exactly.
We could go all day, bro. Shit.
All right, pull out your wieners, everybody. Get ready to throw some Silk City hot sauce on them. We'll be right back after the break. Feel free to go urination, get a snack, and come back in just a minute. Or stay here and listen to the commercial. We'll be right back. For Silk City hot sauces. Why Silk City? Because this hot sauce comes to you directly from Paterson, New Jersey, also known as Silk City. These hot sauces are 100% natural, gluten-free, vegan, contain no chemicals, fillers, dyes, or junk. Everything is packed into recyclable glass containers because glass doesn't leach weird flavors into the product. All other hot sauces are sourced in small batches from locally bought fresh peppers. It's all about the pepper, people. Telling you. Your boy, Big Bad Bob, loves his food like he loves his women. Hot and spicy, but not so hot you can't eat them. So, if you love yourself some sauce and you're tired of trying to transform your bland meat into something edible, with the tip of a jar, you will transform your life forever. Head over to silkcityhotsauce.com, place an order, and upon checkout, enter the code GUNMAN, that's GUNMAN, for 20% off of your entire order. You won't regret it. Thank me later. Peace. Big Bad Bob here with you for Silk City hot sauces. Why Silk City? Because this hot sauce comes to you directly from Paterson, New Jersey, also known as Silk City. These hot sauces are 100% natural, gluten-free, vegan, contain no chemicals, fillers, dyes, or junk. Everything is packed into recyclable glass containers because glass doesn't leach weird flavors into the product. All other hot sauces are sourced in small batches from locally bought fresh peppers. It's all about the pepper, people. Telling you. Your boy, Big Bad Bob, loves his food like he loves his women. Hot and spicy, but not so hot you can't eat them. So, if you love yourself some sauce and you're tired of trying to transform your bland meat into something edible, with the tip of a jar, you will transform your life forever. Head over to silkcityhotsauce.com, place an order, and upon checkout, enter the code GUNMAN, that's GUNMAN, for 20% off of your entire order. You won't regret it. Thank me later. Peace. Big Bad Bob here with you. And just like that, I'm back. Doug is not yet. But I didn't want to make you sit through a third iteration of the Silk City hot sauce commercial. So I'm just going to check some comments here and see what's up going on, because, man, we've had a lot of it. And the truth shall make you free. My friend Sandra Hicks published a book called The Zenith Secret, where it reveals that Bobby Kennedy and the Army had restarted operations against Cuba. Yeah, very interesting. When it comes to overt operations against Cuba, I don't know about that. But when you're talking about these clandestine, covert operations, I certainly think that's plausible. That the military would be in a much better position to help these Cuban exiles clandestinely than the CIA. I mean, the CIA can give them money and they can tell them what to do. But as far as having the operational capacity to pull this off, you saw with the Bay of Pigs, they ain't got it. Now, I don't think they were going to overtly send our military and the Army in there to Cuba. Kennedy did not want to do that at all. But again, I can certainly get behind the theory that covertly, clandestinely, that the military was helping these anti-Castro exile groups for sure. And Doug is back. Can't hear you.
Sorry.
Yes. Now you're back.
I told you, Rob, I'll get used to this stuff. Man, if it wasn't for that little cord.
It's amazing how one little cord can fuck up your entire day.
Dude, it can make you lose your shit. Toss your cookies. Claude, I saw your question a while ago. The next Dallas action will drop as soon as I figure out what it's going to be about and write it, bro. I have nothing. I got nothing. I've been busy.
For that, yeah. Doug's a very important cog in a giant wheel happening behind the scenes of various things. So,
oh boy,
very busy man.
Very busy man, and I will though. I'm working on it. I am working on it. I have a few ideas. The problem is I get an idea and it becomes a quick hits segment. Just these are way more fun to prepare.
Yeah.
Claude, that Dallas action's a lot of work. Holy shit. I like this gig, man, because Rob, it's like a 50-50 gig, man.
Yeah. We take half the burden.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, man, I'm ready, dude. You got a second half topic or another one?
I do.
All right.
Or we can skip it and get into yours and do the mailbag. We're 2
All
hours.
right, we can do that.
I'm good.
This is the second one in a row that I've been late getting back to after the break, Rob. And so I haven't been able to read. Can I read my little sponsor plug for our title sponsor?
Yeah, you got to send me some more sound bites to put in the commercial mix.
Well, I was standing. We've got the great ad that we did years ago for Walt Brown's Judy Baker book. I could send you.
Yeah, send me
I
all
still
of
have
it.
that. Yeah, man, Larry Hancock books, Michael Swanson books.
So we actually get time to take a piss.
I heard that, man. You know, I was standing out there a while ago, and I got a great idea. I figured I would make here's what I'll do. I'll make a 7-minute promo for the Dallas action and just write myself a check for $100, send it to you.
Hey, however you want to do it.
See, the sponsor pays, and we've got plenty of time now.
And then I'll split it with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But actually, there's nothing there. It just says, and we're back. So, hey, and we're back.
Black Cock Radio shirts and send them.
Okay. Before we get into the thing, man, I'm kind of like, we're only 2 hours into this, and now I'm relaxed. So I've been paying no attention to the what you got there, and the true shall. Lisa's gonna block you. Oh, dude, that was years ago. We got into it about this very, very same subject on Christmas Day in the comment section of a John Newman Facebook post about that book, Into the Storm. And her and I got into a knockdown drag out, bro. I was even like, you know what? I asked her, have you read the book? I pulled that one on her. Hey, and she had not. She had not read the book.
We're also frowned upon in California.
Yeah. And I tell you what I did. I said, you know what? I'm going to send you a copy. So I called Alan Dale. I'm like, dude, send her, bill me. Send her a copy so she can read this motherfucker. And he wouldn't do it. He's like, nah, I'm not going to let you buy her a book. Nah. And he wouldn't let me do it. But, yeah.
We know.
All right. Anything else in the Prouty is talking about Operation Gladio. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that too, the Gladio thing. I got one more quick hit, Rob, before we go to emails. Cool. I want to talk about, really quick, cover in regard to the CIA. Right? We read a lot about aliases, covers, cover stories, identity backdrops,
Backstops.
and careers as covers.
Yep.
Do we not?
AKA aliases.
All that stuff. The phenomenon of shell companies and no-show jobs for agents and operatives in these operations that we study is not a new thing.
No.
I can remember studying David Morales, like in the late 60s when he was stationed up around the D.C. area, right? His cover was a dentist, right? He lived in Alexandria. And the CIA had made arrangements for his alias to actually be listed in the yellow pages as being a practicing dental professional at this firm. But he had an apartment rented under this dentist alias. His dentist alias split the rent with a roommate. The roommate was also one of Morales' aliases. He was his own fake roommate.
Nice.
Yeah, it was crazy. Well, what I have for this quick hit is I ran across in the 2025 documents releases, and yeah, I know, guys, it seems in hindsight to me to be completely unrelated to the JFK assassination, but it is in the collection nonetheless. It's a copy of an official agreement from 1976 between a private business entity and the CIA, in which the company agrees to provide a CIA agent with cover, allowing him to pose as an employee of the company. Please, if you would, sir, show us image number 16.
Yes, sir. Let me show
Yeah.
in here.
The way I've got this set up is perfect. You guys can't see the paper I'm actually reading off of, so I don't look like a schmuck. It's great. All right. There we go. Contract agreement. It's 2 pages. CIA. All right. Next image, sir. This is addressed to Mr. Emmett Steele, President, International Art Associates, Rob.
Sounds like a porn name.
It does. It does. And how would this is dated 20 October 1976. That's why I say seems to me like it's completely unrelated to the Kennedy case. Maybe this is somebody who was, I don't know. I don't get it. But anyway, it's very interesting. Let's read it. Dear Mr. Steele, this document is intended to confirm discussions held between yourself, representing International Art Associates, hereinafter referred to as the company, and Mr. John J. Murray, Jr., representing the Central Intelligence Agency. If it conforms to your understanding of the agreement reached, kindly so acknowledge by signing below. 1. You have agreed on behalf of the company to assist CIA by placing on retainer Mr. Richard T. Gibson at an annual fee of $9,000 per annum. This fee will be paid to Mr. Gibson by the company in monthly increments of $750 each. So CIA is giving him the money to pay this guy's salary. The company will overtly negotiate a retainer contract with Mr. Gibson, which will make eminently clear that both are negotiating and concluding the contract as independent parties. That the company will have no obligation to withhold federal, state, or Social Security income taxes. So the CIA is getting his tax. They're doing that, right? Making the deductions.
Yeah.
In consideration of the support rendered, CIA will pay the company a fee of $10,000 per annum. Provision is made in this amount to offset any nominal expenses the firm incurs in its overt association or support of Mr. Gibson. CIA will reimburse the company in quarterly increments via a contrived contractual arrangement between the company and a notional facility of the CIA. Canceled checks will serve as adequate accounting for monies paid the company. Don't make us a receipt. We don't want a receipt. No receipts. Because the CIA's interest in Mr. Gibson, it is requested that the company neither offer Mr. Gibson bona fide employment nor accept any proposal of employment from him without prior consent of CIA for a period of 2 years following termination of this agreement. They don't want them hiring their people away.
Right.
Next image, please, sir. All information related to this agreement is classified secret. Both CIA and the company agree that the most stringent safeguards will be taken to protect this information, including the existence of the agreement. Any information in any form that must be given to a third party by either CIA or the company will be done in strict conformance with the laws safeguarding national security information, and only with full consultation between CIA and the company. The effectiveness of the agreement, then they express their appreciation for all doing their patriotic duty and helping them out like that, Rob.
Yeah.
So just for the heck of it, I decided to run those numbers through an inflation calculator. Let's do the math. Check this out. Next image, sir. The company's compensation for doing such a patriotic thing, Rob, 10 G's, comes out to just a little over 58 grand in today's money, and the agent's salary is equal to a little over 52 and a half. So in today's money, roughly 111 G's per agent using private business cover. But I'm sure that from agent to agent, assignment to assignment, there's probably a hell of a lot of variables there.
Right.
But I thought that might be an instructive little segment for everybody. I know it was for me. I'd never actually, I don't think, run across that particular type of document.
Very cool, man. Yeah. Gives us a peek behind the curtain.
Gives us a peek. Yes, sir.
Very cool. Love that.
And if you guys notice, listeners, viewers, if you see above my Drop D logo right there, my Sharpie that I used to cover up the little scratches on the mic has worn off during the course of the show. You can actually see the paint chips now in the microphone, Rob.
Oh, man. All right, you ready to get into some emails?
Always.
All right, folks, here we go.
Yes, James, I did. 9,000 per enema.
Per anus.
Talk about getting the shaft. Wow.
All right, folks, here we go.
Quick hits, hear them come. Listener emails one by one. Rob's got a sack, bulging and bright. He's feeling around all day and night. Quick hits, oh what a sight. Rob empties its sack and feels just right. Doug lends a hand, hey that's the way. Quick hits, mailbag saves the day. Out they pour with a happy little clink. Notes from the crowd that make him think. Quick hits, let him fly. From Rob to Doug with a wink and a cry. Quick hits, here them come. Listener emails one by one. Rob's got a sack, bulging and bright. He's feeling around all day and night. Quick hits, oh what a sight. Rob empties a sack and feels just right. They come with a hand, hey that's the way. Quick hits, mailbag saves the way. Quick hits, mailbag saves the day.
I think that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, bro. That's so awesome.
Welcome to Quick Mailbag, yes.
I love quick hits. If I said that today, if I told you that at the beginning, I was ready to just fucking go home, but with the cord, but I'm good now.
All right, first email up, Doug, is from Tim, the Eugenicist Sweatpants.
It's been a while.
Well, that's what he says.
A couple
Hey there.
years.
Long time no email. I apologize for my absence, but I have been suffering from a bit of TMJ recently. That's not the sort of TMJ a newlywed bride experiences on her wedding night, aka too much Johnson. No, this is the old jaw ache syndrome. I think I got it when chowing down on that 27th Big Mac the other day at the new McDonald's 2 blocks down the street. Sadly, it closed down on the first day. Well, if they would have had an all-you-can-eat opening the first day so close to my apartment, what did they expect? Anywho, I have a question. Had JFK lived, how do you think U.S. policy might have developed with regard to Cuba? It seems like after the Cuban Missile Crisis, his attitude softened a bit, and that softening would have been one of the motives for taking him out, maybe? Got to run now, as I have a delightful prostate exam today with a gentleman I call Dr. Banana Fingers. You may imagine how I'm looking forward to that. Actually, he's not a bad old boy and is officially retired, but he likes to maintain his skills. He says he likes to come in once a month just to keep his hand in. Later, your old friend Tim the Eugenicist Sweatpants.
It's been a while since we've heard from that guy.
So do you think, Doug, that JFK would have softened his approach with Cuba after the Cuban Missile Crisis had he lived?
Well, I do know that AmWorld, which was pretty much the operation that replaced Mongoose, was starting to wind up, and they had a lot of things in place for that. And that was 100% an RFK endeavor.
Right, but would it have been successful? That's the question.
Oh, I don't know. Not the tack that they had been taking in regard to Cuba with Mongoose and, the scattershot, hit and miss, sabotage raids, and it obviously wasn't working. It obviously, what they had been doing wasn't working. So there would have, operationally, as far as the paramilitary stuff goes, they would have had to change up something. But as far as would Kennedy have softened, well, the Castro regime's still there, man. So I think the only way that, they're obviously still there.
And look, they had to know, Doug, that these Russian missiles were still in Cuba. They didn't get rid of all of them. So knowing that in the back of your mind, but yet not letting the world or the American people know this, despite the D.R.E's best efforts to let the world know that they're still there on national television, was quickly kiboshed. Oh, no, they're mistaken. They don't listen to them. But in the back of their mind, they know these things are still there. So you got to tread lightly with Cuba, and if you're going to do something, it better be damn good and decisive. But you see, just like you said, Doug, that up to this point, Castro had a very long regime, the Castro brothers, and it's still in place.
There's so many variables. Like the Kennedy. I do not believe that Vietnam would have escalated into what it escalated into had Kennedy lived. Right. And so,
better question. Yeah.
But the thing is, how much resources and attention did the escalation in Southeast Asia take away from the communist threat in Latin America?
Right. The focus was turning more towards that.
Right. Had Kennedy lived, and the focus not have turned toward Southeast Asia, what would have been the effect on the Cuban situation, the secret Cuban war, had he lived? AmWorld was going to go, bro. They were just moving this shit offshore. Again, you had people like Gene Wheaton, Carl Jenkins, Felix Rodriguez, they're moving to Guatemala. Yeah. I can't remember the guy, his cryptonym was AM Java, right? And it was because the base was on his coffee plantation down there, right? That's how he got his crypt. Like they were still going to, the Kennedys were still going to do this sabotage. They were still going to do this paramilitary stuff. It was just all moving offshore. It was moving down south. And it was like you were putting that, it was like putting a cutout between the CIA and the operations. Where before, everything's based at JM Wave at the University of Miami with 400 employees, 250 staff cars, its own fuel depot, warehouse full of weapons. There was no cutout. There was no middleman between the CIA and these guys. They were running fucking Costco for paramilitary operations down there.
Yeah. And also, too, Doug, if you look into the later documents when it comes to people like Roy Hargraves, Jerry Hemming, even into the 70s, they're looking at popping shit off in Nicaragua, Guatemala, still trying to get to Castro from these other places. So I don't think it ever really died from maybe an unofficial, things that we don't necessarily know a lot about, from an overt planning stage, whether it was official or unofficial, or backed by the CIA or not, or the military or not, covertly or overtly. But something was still going on in the 70s, for sure. The question is what, and nothing ever really did come of it. So, yeah, very good question there.
I guess short answer, yes. I think had Kennedy lived, I do believe that American policy toward Cuba would have softened, and I believe that had Kennedy lived, then probably sometime in the late 70s or so, there could have been some normalization of relations there. I believe, probably.
Yeah, trade opening back up, sugar coming back in, cigars coming back in, some trade, the blockades lifted, that type of thing.
Yep.
But who knows? All right, next up, we got an email from Michael. He says, "Hey, fellas, sometime a while back along my journey of consuming JFK-related material, I recall hearing a story about inmates, I believe, in the Dallas County Jail that had a view of the schoolbook depository. The details are fuzzy, but I believe their account stated that there was a shooter in a different location than the 6th floor or something like that. Have either of you heard this story? Any validity to it? And if so, do you know where I can find more information about it? Thank you. I really appreciate all the effort that you both put into this show and the others. Arizona Mike."
That first place I read that was probably the Jim Mars book years ago. Rob probably even knows their names, I bet.
No, I don't.
But you know the details probably better than me.
Well, I've heard the story.
Yeah.
And I believe, the question has always been, can we believe some jail inmates? Right? Are they credible witnesses? That's a personal decision whether or not you want to choose to believe them or not. Or are they using this information to possibly get a reduced sentence or get out of trouble type of thing? Or are they legitimately relaying what they saw out the window? Whether it was activity behind the grassy knoll fence, whether it was other folks in different windows of the schoolbook depository. I think both things were alleged by various inmates, but yeah, I mean, they would have had a view, but, there's a lot of trees in Dealey Plaza as well. So, how good could they have seen things from a jail cell window? I don't know. And again, it boils down to the credibility of these inmates, whether or not you choose to believe what they say. Other than that, it's just another quote unquote eyewitness account that you can choose to believe or not at this point. And as far as further info, like I said, I would say check out Jim Mars' Crossfire. Yep. Or just do some Googling or some AI digging, see what you can find. I'm sure there's more stuff out there on that that has been written about over the years for sure. All right, Doug. Our next email comes from the lovely Sally she's from England, but she's in Ireland right now.
Sally of the chat?
Yes, Sally of the chat.
Is Sally in the chat today?
I believe she was. I don't know if she still is, but she definitely was. She is a trooper. I do know that. She seems to always be omnipresent, and we appreciate that. We love Sally. Afternoon, fellas, from sunny Scion Mills in Northern Ireland. Quick question. I was wondering if the Triple B had looked any further into the arrest of Pena in New Orleans by an Officer Hosty, who we found out during the Lone Gunman podcast had a brother called James, off to make some beans on toast, hobnobs, and a pot of tea. and I'm not going to say your last line here, Sally. Well, for you, I might make an exception. So, Liberty Lobby, Liberty Lobby, Liberty Lobby. Kisses.
Dude,
Sally.
you did it.
I did it.
You did it.
Did it.
Whoa.
I fucked it up the other day, though.
Yeah, but man, that right there will be saved for posterity. Right?
Yeah. Now, to your question, have we looked any further into the arrest of Pena in New Orleans by Officer Hosty, who had a brother named James? No, I have not looked any further into it, but I think we can. I mean, I don't know what it means, right? If Jim Hosty's brother was on the NOPD and arrested Horace Pena at one time, right? That's pretty weird. You know, there's lots of weird New Orleans connections with Hosty, supposedly interviewing like Father McCann, but McCann says that he talked to Hosty in New Orleans, but there is no official FBI document regarding that interview. It could have been Hosty on the New Orleans PD, like his brother could have called him up and said, "Hey, man, I know you're in New Orleans. Track down this motherfucker, former priest, Father McCann, and interview him for me. Ask him this, ask him that type of thing." I can see that happening. But yeah, it's very, very curious that Jim Hosty, the FBI in Dallas, would have a brother on the police force in New Orleans and have connections with the Cuban exile community there in New Orleans as well.
This is the first I've heard of that.
Yeah.
So it's confirmed, though, his brother was a cop in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Allegedly.
I don't know how you'd be a cop in New Orleans in 1963 and not be aware of the Cuban exile community.
Oh, no, he was aware of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He would
Yeah.
have to have connections in that community.
Yeah. I mean, he allegedly arrested Horace Pena. You know,
That's crazy. I didn't know that, though. That's what I'm saying. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Had no
and
idea.
Somebody named Hosty interviewed McCann in New Orleans, and we have James Hosty in Dallas should have never been in New Orleans for any reason. So,
Yeah, that whole story's known to me, man.
it's wild, right?
Yeah.
Wild. Thank you, Sally. And last email, Doug, from Anthony Sperm Geyser. Beloved listener to the show, Mr. Anthony Sperm Geyser.
Wow. Wonder what he does for a living.
I don't know, but I had one of those last night.
Artesian wells?
Yeah. Like Old Faithful. Happy Saturday, folks. I have to say, I like these live sessions. Yeah, so do we. Yes,
Absolutely.
But he loves it now.
Well, about a half hour into it, I love it. Usually.
Anthony says, I was feeling pretty flaccid today, but jumping into the hot tub with the wife and listening to you guys had really perked things up. Keep up the good work. Love you guys. Your buddy Anthony, the Sperm Geyser.
Keep a step upper lip there, dude.
Yes, and
Yes.
avoid avoid the down spray. In the immortal words of the deleted scenes from The Anchorman, now we know how the victims of Pompeii felt.
Or just duck.
Oh, man. Yeah.
The dirty pirate, Rob.
Yes. The old dirty pirate, dirty trombone, whatever you want to call it. Yes.
Yes. All right, next email.
That's it, buddy.
That's it? That's all?
That is it.
Oh, wow, man.
So if you folks would like to have your emails read here live on the show, right here on YouTube, send them. quickhitsjfk@gmail.com. Get them in early, get them in late, doesn't really matter. we'll read them. We'll react right here live on this show.
That's right. And if you send it in during the show, you can hear yourself trigger Rob's vibrator.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the show.
In my sack.
You get that instant gratification of knowing, oh, he got my email. He got it.
Yeah.
Because he'll go like
during the show. Yeah.
He'll go like this. He'll go.
Sally vibrated my sack in the middle of the show.
Man, now I'm jealous, Sally. Dang. All right, Rob. Do we have some music? We got that outro music ready, bro?
I believe we do.
Oh, man. I love your new animation, by the way, for the emails. It's so awesome.
But before we get to the outro, Doug, I just wanted to thank everybody who took the time to chill here with us today and watch the show live and be active in the chat. You guys have been killing it all show, and we appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you so much for showing up. Make sure to hit the like button on your way out the door. And until next time.
And hey, yeah, thank you to
Hold on. There you are.
There I am. I wanted to say thank you to everybody for putting up with my, obviously, some people are unshakable. I'm shakeable, apparently, and I'm my rookie ass. Thank you for putting up with me again this month.
All good, brother. All good.
All right. Rob, you know what? Wall Street Window at wallstreetwindow.com is our wonderful title sponsor. That's right. Stocks, bonds, precious metals, commodities trading, financial markets worldwide watched and analyzed. For all of you nice people, sign up for the Wall Street Window daily email newsletter. The day's most up-to-date info right at your fingertips. Wall Street Window at wallstreetwindow.com. Back to you, Rob.
And look, if you enjoy this show, you know the spiel. It's the Lone Gunman Podcast here live every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our channel members, and also can be heard audibly in your ear holes anywhere good podcasts are listening to. I'm talking Spotify. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon, whatever, wherever, however you want to listen, you can. We make it easy for you. Doug.
And for even more study and research and analysis of the people, places, things, events, and ideas related to the 1963 conspiracy-driven assassination of President John Kennedy, please join me on the Dallas Action, presented by Wall Street Window. Ongoing, forward-moving, forward-thinking, continued exploration and research of the JFK assassination. It's only been 2 months since my last one. Available everywhere you find quality podcasts like this show and other fine podcasts from Drop D Podcast Productions, along with Loose Moose Podcast Productions in the heart of Music Row, Music City, USA. So for Rob Clark, this is Doug Campbell saying tune in again next time when on a recent episode of Triple R with Triple B, we'll hear Rob say,
in my metrics, I can see dislikes on my video. I don't give a fuck, but I can see them.
We are out.
I don't give a fuck.